Hey everyone, Kyle Gordon here again with another AMAG Asks conversation. Lucky enough today to be joined by Dan Rothrock, the President of the Americas for our strategic partner, Zenitel. And we're just continuing to try and have these industry thought leadership type of conversations, and thought Dan would be an absolute wealth of knowledge and understanding, and especially in his space. So, Dan, thanks for joining.
And Kyle, thanks for having me. I really look forward to this conversation. You know, my forte and interest in the industry is always voice communication, and voice is the number one way that we interact with people. So let's have a good conversation and some interaction.
I mean, let's just jump into it. You led it there, and I think it's just a great place to start. I can give you some context, right? As someone who's been in the industry for going on 18 years now, and sort of selling all of the services, there is definitely a lot more attention paid to voice audio today than there was when I started. Now, that may just because I was not a great sales guy, or that may be because we're kind of seeing a little bit of an evolution. But let's just talk about the space, the audio space, where it started, kind of where it's going, what you see. And you guys are obviously a very large player within the sector.
Well, there's a lot of things that are going on, and I doubt that was because you weren't a great salesperson. I kind of doubt that part, but I do think it is probably in part has to do with the industry evolution. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is with SIA and being able at SIA to start what was a working group. And, you know, working group is kind of like a bill on Capitol Hill waiting to become a law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a working group is waiting to become a committee.
Got it.
So the intelligent audio working group morphed into a full-blown committee. And I was fortunate enough to be chairman of that committee for 2 years, driving the need for intelligent audio to be incorporated in every security project that we're working on. So any place that access control is at, or any place that audio is at, we're trying to create an awareness that audio needs to be there also. And like I mentioned at the very beginning, if you think about it, voice is the number one way that we communicate with each other. And take this podcast, for example. The video is great, but without the audio, we don't have any context and we don't have any message. So the getting voice communication into a security application is really necessary. And it's something that more people are becoming aware of. Like you mentioned it earlier, in the past, maybe it was overlooked or it wasn't thought about, but now it's working its way into the core ecosystem.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I almost wonder if I'm thinking through my past, just thinking on a security project that you may be working on, and if it's put out for tender or for bid, where in the past audio may have fallen. Does it fall under sort of the audio section? Does it fall under the security section? I'm guessing if the engineering team and the consulting team, the architects really didn't have a firm grasp on the value of audio within a security ecosystem, it got overlooked.
You're right. And that's an interesting way to look at it. Where did it fit in the process of being in the scope and into the specification? In a lot of cases, it's not in there, right? Because it's overlooked. It's overlooked by the end user. It's overlooked by the consulting group. It's overlooked by the integrator, and it's overlooked by sometimes our partners. But the interesting thing is, and the opportunity there is that once it's brought up, especially to the end user and presented to them, it's a
no-brainer. Absolutely.
Yeah. What happens is, and we've done it, Kyle, with some of your people, it's a great thing. All you have to do is people are afraid of things that are complex. Salespeople can get afraid of things that are complex. End users get afraid of things that are complex. So because they don't understand or know a lot about voice communication and audio, it gets pushed away. But all you have to do, and I always claim this is really simple, and that's why I've done it for 33 years, because it's not
Right.
difficult. Um, you you do everything that you're used to doing. You go out and you sell a video system, and all of our people know how to populate a drawing with cameras, where the sight lines are, what they need to look at, why they need to have a camera there. And the same goes with access control. Everybody knows where a reader should go, and then they stop. The customer says, okay, I know I need video, I know I need access control. You populate that map with cameras and readers, and you stop. But what I've always said, and what we have a bigger movement to in the industry now, is the adoption of just asking one simple question. And the question is, so what are you doing for audio? Now, once you do that, and literally we had this happen with a client of ours, they asked the question, and then the customer said, I don't know. What should I be doing? And again, that's the problem, right? They don't know. So the next piece is that anywhere you can get on a network, you can remote a set of eyes, and you can see what's going on and capture what's going on. That, however, is a passive method because you're seeing what's happening, but you don't have a way to interact with it. So the follow-up question is, everywhere that you're now able to see, where would it be important for you to be able to also speak and to hear?
Right.
And people will tell you right away, oh, great, I need here, 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 and here.
Right.
Same thing with access control. I know you're familiar with the term that door, because every client has one where they go, oh, that door, it's the one that they prop open so they go out to smoke, or they let their friends in, and then you have to roll a truck or send a body. But if you have a camera there and you have voice communication there, you can address it instantly and you can modify the behavior. So there's a couple things that are also happening that are really fun. We did a presentation, and we're talking about a children's camp where we had put in emergency call boxes and blue lights. And the method of alarm that we were replacing or updating was a bell. If there was an emergency, they would just go ring and clang a big, right? So now we update them with all this technology, and there were two people in the meeting that said, oh my goodness, I hope you left the bell in place because millennials don't talk.
Oh, okay.
Okay, interesting. I know a lot of people have that idea that millennials don't talk, but something, everybody wants to text. They text instead of talking. However, there's something really unique that's happened in the voice communication world, and that is people talking to machines. Right? Maybe you've already done it today. You talk to Alexa or you talk to Siri. You say, turn my lights on, turn my lights off, do this, do that. No, don't do that. I meant for you to do this. And in doing that, people have gained a comfort in talking again, maybe through a machine. And the machine learning is a really interesting aspect of what's going on in the audio world right now. But it's bringing us back to also people now have an expectation that if I come to a door, I should be able to talk to someone.
Yeah.
So that's changed the industry. And the more people see audio and the more they have it in their home, the more they're going to want it in their commercial life as well.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. I'd never thought of that. I am constantly yelling at my devices. I would say politely telling my devices to do things, and the expectation is that they're going to do those things. And I can definitely see a world in which my children will grow up, and the expectation is every device responds to audio. I can see that being their perception because almost every one of their devices that they currently look at does in some way. So that is an interesting parallel I never thought of.
Well, and here's a viewpoint, and you can call me biased if you want, and I'm okay with that. But here's a viewpoint of the audio. Right now, for the most part, access control is kind of the center hub of security because the database lays there,
Right.
right? So all the decisions are made there. If this happens, then that happens. And the control is there. In the future, think Star Trek and think about standing there in front of the control panel. And to your point, it's completely operated by voice. And voice communication now becomes the center hub of security because it's going to trigger all the other aspects. If we look at the way we run machines and you look at history, the idea of a punch card telling a machine what to do. You move forward and we do some programming, software programming, tells a machine what to do. Or we have a keypad and we have an interface and we type and tell the machine what to do. Well, the better that natural language processing gets, the more detailed it gets, those interfaces are all antiquated. And it's going to be exactly what you just said, Kyle. It's going to be, I'm going to talk to the machine, and our kids are going to have that expectation that the machine's going to respond and it's going to do what we tell it to do.
So if we were to wrap on today on that awesome kind of exploration of the journey of this industry, I think my continued takeaway every time I talk to you, Dan, and obviously we do this with our team, but I would say from a broader perspective, every end user and every reseller should be going in and asking, well, what are you doing about audio? Because that conversation still on a daily basis gets missed. And to your point, which I think is a really important one, it's just more inefficient because it always ends up you always need it. It's just, are you doing it after the fact, after the wire's already been run and there wasn't a thought put into it? So then there's extra expense and all. There's never a time that I can recall when a customer said, actually, I don't need an intercom. It's always needed. It's just whether you caught it up front or at the end, because it's absolutely, to your point, something that customers value most. When the rubber hits the road, how can I talk to someone?
You're 100% right. And what does happen, either the system goes in without it, and then now the need is recognized because my system's not complete unless I add some voice communication to it. And then they go, man, I need an intercom. And putting it in there, always more costly than if you do it up front. I've never done a presentation with a partner or with an integrator or with a consultant to an end user where when you bring up the application of audio and show them where voice communication should be placed, where the end user went, oh no, I don't see the need. Oh no, I don't want it.
Yeah,
I've never had that
100%.
happen.
100%. Well, I appreciate.
So
Yeah,
the,
I think it's a great perspective.
so the biggest part is just putting it into the conversation, thinking about it, and adding it to the conversation.
And if you're not versed in the conversation, reaching out to audio partners to understand how to have that conversation.
We love that part, and it goes back to the you know fishing story of if I give you a fish, you have a meal. But if you really engage us and let us do the presentation on audio a couple times, where the need is, where the application is, what's the benefit of having it? How does it help your daily operations, and how does it make you become more efficient? And another piece, Kyle, that a lot of people don't think about, there's a big movement to gather data on, are our customers happy? If you want to increase customer satisfaction scores, add the interface of voice communication, because it just closes that gap of inviting people into your building, into your facility, making people feel comfortable, making them feel at home, because they can have a conversation. It's so frustrating. You get on the phone and you have to dial through so many things to finally get to an agent, right? You're just trying to find a way to talk to somebody.
Yep.
You have that same building or same feeling when people come to your building and they can't interface with somebody and have a conversation to get what they need. So just like today, let's have a conversation. That's what the intercom allows the people to do.
Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us, Dan. We certainly could do this for a while, but thanks as always for giving us some time and some insights.
Anytime, Kyle. Glad to be on the call and be with you. And have a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks.